When it comes to the world of investing and diversification in portfolios, do you actually know where your investments are and what your investments are in? There are a lot of different assets and financial instruments that we use in the investment world. And in this video, we are going to break them down. Starting with our first one, guys, which is equities or stock. Now, this is ownership of a company. When you look at Apple, when you look at Nvidia, when you look at Tesla, you are owning a company or owning fractional shares of a company. This is stock represents a claim on a portion of the company's assets as well as their earnings. That is why a lot of companies do pay dividends, because you are a shareholder of that company. Dividend investing has increased in popularity over the last couple of years to astronomical size, guys, meaning that the company, rather than investing money into the company itself, they are willing to give it into shareholders or giving money back to shareholders that they could have been investing in the company. Not only can you have stocks that grow in value as a growth stock, but you can also have a return on the dividends that those companies do yield. You are actually getting a cut of the profits. Now, Warren Buffett talks about this in saying investing in companies that have a really great track record and also that you believe in. They say that if you buy Coca-Cola, you should drink Coca-Cola, or vice versa. If you use Apple products, invest in Apple. If you use Verizon phones, invest in Verizon. There's a logic behind using the things that most people do, especially if it is something that you do utilize in your own world. Looking at number two, it is bonds. These are fixed income securities that represent loans by an investor to a borrower. Typically, they are corporate bonds and they are government bonds. We know we can buy like EE bonds, you can buy I bonds. There are a lot of government issued bonds. Now, that is how a lot of companies and governments do raise money. Bonds pay periodic interest and return the principal at maturity. So if you're buying let's say a bond that is a 10-year bond, after 10 years, they are going to give you the value of the bond back, depending on what it is. In addition, they are going to pay you interest periodically. Some of them do not actually physically pay the interest in the case of a government bond. Until you cash in that bond, you get the principal back that you put in, plus you get the interest that was accumulated. But be careful with bonds, guys, because you still have to pay taxes on those. Now, depending on the rate that the bond is paying, it also goes kind of hand in hand with the risk. If it's a much riskier company, if they're looking to raise capital through bond or the sale of bonds, they are going to be a lot paying a much higher interest. But again, the risk is going to kind of go hand in hand with that. Number three, we look at mutual funds. Now, this, I know Dave Ramsey, mutual funds is the way that he always goes, and that is kind of what he preaches. Examining investment vehicles that pool money from multiple investors to invest in a diverse portfolio of stocks, bonds, and other securities. So this is actually a managed fund where people are managing the funds. I know a lot of them have robo-advisors, things of that nature now. And I don't know if it touches mutual funds, because I believe at this point it is still exclusively people that manage the portfolios with stocks and bonds, other securities that are in there, making up a mutual fund. Now, you have to be very careful with mutual funds, guys, because they usually do come with a much higher cost average. So when you look at a regular stock like the VOO, it is a 0.03, which is the expense for that. Mutual funds can be much higher, especially if you're incorporating a financial advisor, which most of them baseline take about 1% on good years, 1% in bad years, which can account to 20, 30, 40 years. Could be a very substantial amount, depending how much you have invested, of the profits that you could have. Number four is the exchange traded funds, or the ETFs. These are my favorite, guys. Even though I'm not a financial advisor, this is what I invest in. So understanding investment funds that trade on the stock exchange, very similar to stock, it is ETFs. So instead of buying one specific stock, again, looking at Apple, looking at Tesla, looking at Nvidia, instead of buying one specific stock, I purchase personally the VOO, which tracks an index or a basket of assets and provides diversification. When you look at the VOO, it invests in the top 500 largest companies, which I believe last I looked, there were like 522 in there, but it does look to track the S&P 500. So I'm actually tracking an index instead of a specific performance of a stock, which a lot of people do. And again, looking at ETFs, guys, it seems like they are a much lower risk because of the diversification factor that you do have, but always do your research before you invest in anything. Make sure, guys, you do your research. You know the companies that it's going into. Even looking at ETFs, don't base everything just on previous year's performance. make sure you understand exactly the direction that they are headed. Number five, we look at real estate. This is the investment in physical property, if it is actually owning it yourself, residential, commercial property, or it can even be generated through different REITs. Now, REITs is actually a company that puts together a bunch of real estate portfolios. I've used Fundrise in the past, which does have REITs and a bunch of other things as of now. But the real estate can generate rental income. The rental income can also pay for the property itself. In addition, with real estate, there can be a lot of downsides, which again, you really have to look into, but also it can go up and appreciate in value. If you're buying a home that's $150,000, you're renting it out. The person that is renting the house is paying the mortgage, covering all the expenses that you cover, and the appreciation value of the house is going up as well. Number six, we look at commodities. This is really looking at physical goods as gold, silver, oil, agricultural products. Investors can gain exposure to commodities through various financial instruments. These I'm not too familiar with, but I know there is gold ETFs and things that you can buy. There are also physical gold, guys, which is kind of crazy to think. So if you're hoarding gold bars in your basement, let me know in the comments down below. Just kidding. But a lot of people do buy the physical product and hold on to the actual physical product instead of just having the investment. But it also means that if you are looking for liquidity, you're going to have to actually find someone to buy the physical merchandise that you have. I don't know how many of us are stockpiling oil in our backyard, but overall, gold and silver is one that I do see quite a bit. Number seven, we get into cryptocurrencies. Now, these, of course, are the digital and virtual currencies. Bitcoin, Ethereum, when used, the cryptography for security and operates on a decentralized network. Now, of course, this was the big hype a couple years ago. It seems like a lot of people have pulled money out of cryptocurrency. A lot are still invested. I know there's a lot of utility tokens, things of that nature. Personally, again, my opinion, looking at Bitcoin, looking at Ethereum, that is what a majority of people are really in. There's a lot of kind of speculation when it comes to cryptocurrencies, especially when it comes to newer coins, meme coins, things of that nature, or some coins that really don't have any utility at all. So again, this is another area you do want to do your research, do your due diligence, and make sure exactly what you're doing. Number eight, we get into options, understanding financial derivatives that give investors the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell at a specific price within a specific time. Again, this is an area that I'm not really familiar with the options. I've heard it, I've researched it, I've studied it. Options trading is what a lot of people do. So they'll buy it and they'll buy it in a different manner where they hold it for a certain amount of time. And then either they're predetermined if it's going to go up or if it's going to go down. And they have to kind of cover the difference if it does go up or down. It's almost like betting. Now, cryptocurrency, I've seen this exact same thing. Where you can actually leverage and buy it on options. And it just gets insane with the amount of money that you can borrow on a portfolio that you have. But if you have to pay it back, guys, again, be very careful with it. Number nine, we get into the preferred stock. Now, this is examining a hybrid security that a character has both common stocks and bonds together. Preferred stocks received a fixed dividends before the common shareholders and have a higher claim to assets if there is liquidity issues within the company. So this is kind of a stock that is kind of the preferred or the better version of a stock. So if they're only paying, let's say, a premium or a dividend to the preferred stockholders, they're not giving away any money to the common stockholders. And also, if you are looking to sell your shares, the preferred stock will actually get paid out first if the company is going bankruptcy, like we've seen with Bed Bath & Beyond, Toys R Us, Kmart, things of that nature. If there is a liquidity or a liquidation of the company, the preferred stock will have, if there is anything left. Now, looking at number 10, we look at retirement accounts, guys. Now, these are your 401ks. These are your IRAs. These are your tax advantage accounts that you have to be into if you ever in your entire life plan to retire. And hopefully there's going to be a time and point in your life where you want to retire or you have to retire. These accounts offer tax deductions or tax-free growth. Make sure, guys, that you're exploring the Roth options with these, especially if you are a younger generation. If you're really close to retirement, might not have a time to make a big difference, but still putting money in that Roth would be beneficial. But overall, guys, the longer time that you put money in your Roth, the longer that you do have it to grow, you will grow tax-free, which is huge, guys. Again, if you're putting money into, let's say, a Roth 401k, you let it grow for 40 years, making regular contributions. Everything you have in there is completely tax free, which is what you want. Now, we also look at some of the different options as peer to peer lending, hedge funds, and of course, the CDs. Peer to peer, we see this through a couple different places. This is alternative investments where you can actually borrow from other individuals. So people will actually put up their money for someone else to borrow it. And again, this has a big risk part to it, which means you have to be careful. You have to do your research. Now, I know there is some automotive lenders. There are some kind of like payday advance lenders. There's a couple different places that do, and I have seen this through lending, that they do the peer-to-peer lending. Now, hedge funds, this is pooling funds in a various strategy and returning money to their investors. It says that a more flexible investment strategy compared to traditional investments. Again, this is taking a bunch of money and pooling it all together to make the investment at a much greater magnitude because you have more money to go in there with the hedge funds. And the last one, guys, is the savings accounts, which the high yield savings accounts are still popping up absolutely everywhere. And also the certificate of deposits. Both of those are very low risk. They're interest bearing accounts. Some of them do pay on a quarterly basis, some pay on a monthly basis. So, again, do your research when it comes to those. We have CDs right now that are paying 5.4%, which is pretty darn good when you look at the average return of the stock market. And remember, those are guaranteed, guys. Same with the savings accounts. Most of them are FDIC insured or NCUA insured, depending if it is a bank or a credit union. But also, again, do your research. I cannot stress that enough. When it comes to portfolios, when it comes to investing, we're going to continue down this journey, guys. This is the second episode of the investment portion. We still have 8 more that are coming. So, guys, if you like the content that I provide, go ahead and click that subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I will catch you in the next video.